Okay, next we have our fireworks enforcement strategies related to the use of the dangerous and illegal fireworks after action report. So we have our chief to present. It's just you. I don't see Pete.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, council members. Get this on the right page. I'm here tonight to talk about the fireworks enforcement strategy related to the use of dangerous and illegal fireworks, kind of an after-action report from last year. Last year, in the April 25th meeting, Council was asked to consider some following options to help reduce the amount of illegal fireworks and the subsequent issues that it caused with quality of life in Yuba City. So we presented four different things: a public education campaign, increased directed enforcement by the fire and police departments, public awareness campaign, enhanced enforcement again, and maintain status quo. These were the 5 different things. After looking at those, these were the 4 council recommendations after some careful consideration. So we brought 5 things to the council. These are the 4 things that we decided to act upon. Do a public education campaign, which consisted of radio ads, magazine articles, Facebook, newspaper ads, posters, information booths, a variety of different things. These are some of the different items that were done, inclusive of putting a flyer with every single legal fireworks place and putting them in the water bills. So we really wanted to get the word out to everybody to let them know that we would be citing people in the upcoming year. There was a couple of ads we put in the Appeal Democrat also to let people know, to get them informed. In fact, in the additional enforcement, we had 4 days, which was July 1st through July 4th. And during those 4 days, we added 1 officer to 4 different beats. So we had 4 officers, and we had 4 fire personnel from July 1st to July 3rd. They were doubled up. 1 deputy and 1 pilot from July 1st through July 4th. And on July 4th itself, myself and the fire chief went out again with others. So we had a total of 5 officers and 5 personnel on July 4th. During that time, we had 185 calls for service for illegal fireworks through dispatch, and we had 52 additional calls through the YC311 calls. We ended up issuing 24 citations for illegal fireworks, which is, although it looks like we had 185 calls and only 105 the year before, I think a lot of that was based on the fact that we asked for people to call and we solicited their input, and we used the YC311. So it's just a baseline number. I don't think you compare one to the other adequately. Citizens were encouraged to call in, and the media campaign was successful in that effort. 2016, we issued less than 5 citations. I didn't get the exact number. They're really hard to track through our system, but we had 5, and we believe they were all none through the social ordinance, because we did not have that in place. In 2014 to 2016, the call volume was greatest between 9 and 11 p.m. In 2017, the calls dropped at 10 p.m., allowing patrol to have a greater impact after 10 o'clock. There were certain areas in Yuba City that experienced a drastic reduction in the amount of illegal fireworks. One of them was in northwest Yuba City. Unfortunately, the middle western portion, Royal Ranchero and that area in Shanghai Bend, were the most active calls for service in the use of illegal fireworks. 133 out of 185 calls for service through dispatch occurred on July 4th. 54 of them occurred between 9 and 10 p.m. 95 calls happened before 10 p.m. For 2018, based on those numbers, some of the things that we would do would be a redeployment of, we don't think that it'd be, we were very impactful on the first 3 days, or it's necessary for us to have that much patrol officers on. I think we should really focus on the July 4th date. One of the biggest issues that we faced last year, and we continue to face, is trying to respond to these. The greatest volume happened over a certain period of time, usually between, obviously when it gets dark, so around 8:30 to about 10 o'clock, and that's because of the legal use of fireworks. If you go out and try to drive around during that period of time, you're not going to have a lot of luck. Everybody's out in the streets, so although you see the fireworks being dispatched up in the air, it's really hard for patrol to maneuver around that because you have so many kids and families out during that time. And then when we did happen to see a lot of these, as we rolled up to them, we would see the mortar tubes out there, but nobody around it. And not only was nobody around it, but the people that were around it didn't see what happened. They just happened to miss it. So I think we're going to look at a lot of different avenues this year. Some of the things we're going to explore is a reward system. But upon review of the data, it's obvious that 1 year does not present enough information to effectively, conclusively evaluate the success of the program. This was the first step of a problem that is statewide in California and is increasing in activity due to the availability of illegal fireworks. We did notice a decline, like I talked about, after 10 p.m. I think we kind of got a grasp on it as we were able to respond faster. I think people knew that we were getting out there quicker. It allowed us to focus the attention of the direct enforcement teams specifically to the illegal areas, and we issued a lot of citations after that period of time also. Anecdotally, I believe this helped in the volume of calls for illegal fireworks, although they did still continue after that time to a much lesser degree. On the enforcement side, I think issuing 24 citations will not be effectively measured until next year, as we really had no baseline the year before to help as a deterrent. Our hope is that the publicity from this year's citations and the public awareness of the citations will help serve as a deterrent for the next year. From the continued number of complaints, written and phone calls, it's apparent that this area of enforcement needs to continue. Staff plans on continuing to meet, solicit input from the community, other agencies, and the City Council, and bringing back a plan of action to Council for February of 2018. And we'll continue to explore technology and other statewide agencies' efforts in our plans of action. We're very lucky this year. I saw we presented the Aero Squadron team an award. They're very good. I mean, we had some problems initially being the first year, and one of those was communication. So we had to establish a better way to communicate. And that's problematic because of the systems that they're using. And I think next year we're going to refine that a little bit more. We'll continue to explore the uses of drone and other technology, different apps that are coming out. And again, one of the things we may look towards is some type of reward system. Some other areas we'd like to explore is maybe enhancing the Children's 4th of July parade, collaborate with other public and private entities, more public involvement, continue to look for a public forum for a 4th of July celebration in the evening. And that's going to have to be done with the public committee. It's not going to be able to be done just by the city. We're going to need a lot of help from the public. And then again, we'd like to continue the enforcement because we do feel it was effective. And I think that's the only way that you're going to have the impact is by continuing the enforcement. Some people were uncooperative this year, but on the other hand, as I was responding to one call, some of the neighbors weren't cooperative, and the RP, the reporting party, called back and said, hey, can you just have the officer meet me and I'll drive him right to the house? And boom, it was very effective. On the other hand, sometimes we responded to calls where we'd be issuing a citation, and in the upper area, you could see several fireworks still going off. So I think a lot of people got the words. In certain areas, it was very impactful. And in other areas, I think the follow-up on these citations is going to be important. And I think $1,000 fine is a big deterrent. Mm-hmm. And I think part of that's going to be how we collect on that. And I know tomorrow is going to be the first, or Thursday is going to be the first hearings. So we were very fortunate to have retired Chief Rich Detmer come in and be the public hearing officer. And we're going to see how that turns out. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. And the recommendation is just note and file at this time.
Okay. Rob, I just have to say that being the first year using this type of enforcement, I really feel that by next year the word will get out and it will deter people from doing this. I'm sure we're still going to have them. It's not going to, go away. But I do feel that this will get the word out. I know I heard it in different places. People were talking, hey, they were out there enforcing, and then they'll see me, and it was probably a group that was causing the issues, and they all got quiet. So I know the word is getting out. I did also notice that after 4th of July, there was less the next day, at least in my area, in the North Yuba City area, that I did notice that we didn't have as many. Even the next day, it was less compared to last year. Felt less of a war zone. So
Thank you.
Appreciate all the efforts that were put there. Yes.
To the mayor. I promise to keep my comments short. It'll probably be less than about half an hour tonight. Councilmember Cardoza asked that I at least expand on some of my thoughts from the past.
Don't forget the video.
Shall we put the timer?
Chief, the first thing that I want to say is I have a profound thanks to the police department, the efforts made by the police and fire to combating this and taking it seriously. I think our public statements as members of the public, need to be clear and concise in what is going to happen, that we are taking action, that it will not be tolerated any further. And I commend the Sheriff's Department and Aero Squadron for stepping up and providing that resource that I know can be perfected. And I'll talk to you a little bit about away from this meeting, about some of the technology that can be employed for communication to make it more clean and also be pinpoint for GPS purposes of locating violators. I'm just afraid if I give it up in a public setting, everybody's going to be aware of what potentially is out there. One of the things that I also would be looking at are public service announcements from some of the violators. I would be more than willing to make adjustments if it had to be done through an ordinance or whatever means to allow violators to engage and provide some of the public service announcements for this next year. I think no better word comes, and they're effective in many types, DUI drivers, drug offenders, many of those. Those are great forums that come out. The city's effort with the bags that had information on them, their shopping bags, I think that was a great advancement in our community. I'd love to see enough of those bags put together that at the fireworks stands, all of the legal fireworks stands would provide at least one bag to each customer that comes into those stands. I think that begins to get the word out even on a larger basis. I do have to acknowledge that on the 4th of July, I left town. I went to watch, and it's the second time that I've done it, the number 10 fireworks display or show in the United States. It rivals anything that Washington, D.C., not New York, because they spend a lot of money on their hour-long show, but it rivals anything that you can imagine. I didn't see one illegal firework around that location at all. It was all part of the show, and people waited patiently for dark to fall and to be able to watch a very spectacular event. The event that I went to is at South Lake Tahoe, and there were a lot of folks there from Yuba City that were all around at different locations at South Lake Tahoe to watch that. I think that that's something that we as a community need to look forward to, is putting on, again, some type of a community display that provides an opportunity to see some spectacular fireworks that are far more safe than launching them in neighborhoods and creating the chaos. I'm not so lucky that I live in an area that they like to light them off starting on about June the 30th, maybe on the 28th of June, if they've gotten their supply in from out of state, and going all the way to the 8th of July. Now, I didn't mind the 8th of July because it's my wife's birthday on the 8th of July, so I looked at it as a celebration of her birthday. But these are going on the south end of Yuba City for a long duration. And it is disruptive to our neighborhoods, to our animals, to our peace of mind. You know what? Launching these things, I want to go find somebody one night that's doing this at 1 o'clock in the morning and give them a piece of my mind, because it wouldn't be a pretty piece of my mind that they might receive. But it's ridiculous. There is no concept of, does this disrupt my neighbors? They just do it to do it. And I can only imagine that at that time of the morning, there's probably some type of fuel that is added to that people are probably engaged in at the time. So with that, I'm going to stop it short because I know that Mr. Cardoza would like to use my remaining 20 minutes for his dissertation on the 4th of July. So, but thank you, Chief. And again, thank you to the fire department also for their efforts.
All right. Councilmember Cardoza. You sure?
I'm good.
Okay. Any other comments?
Just real quick, Chief, I quite simply just want to thank you for your effort on that. You clearly put a lot into it. And the report here today is very encouraging, and you have a lot of plans in place for the future and plan on keeping it up. And that's great. That's what we need is to keep them the feet to the fire. I don't know if that's a good pun or not. But yeah, follow up and keep doing and be safe out there. Have you thought of maybe doing some plainclothes?
We actually had undercover cars this
You
year.
did already?
Several of them were
Okay.
undercover.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the
Appreciate it.
thought. Absolutely.
Thank you, Chief.